Welcome to Lesson 1, Patterns and Charts. In this lesson, we are going to use a 100 chart to find patterns with numbers. The 100 chart is a chart that goes up to 100, and it has 10 rows that each go up to 10. So one way to use a 100 chart to find patterns is simply by skip counting. So if we want to skip count by twos, for example, we could mark our 100 chart like this. We would count 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, and so on, all the way up to the number 100 if you wish. Let's look at another example together. Here is a 100 chart with a pattern already in it. Pause the video right now and take a moment to think about what the pattern is in this chart. So if you figured out that we are counting by threes, you are correct. We went from 3 to 6 to 9 to 12 to 15 to 18 and so on. You also see that there are these diagonal lines that are formed in this pattern. So there are two ways we can describe this pattern, and we do that using a pattern rule. Our pattern rule states that we start at 3 and we count by threes. So pattern rule always tells us what number we start at in our pattern and then how the numbers change. Another pattern rule for this one could be we start at 3 and then we go down 1 and left 1 in a diagonal, down 1, left 1. And then we go ahead 3 more numbers and we go down 1, left 1, down 1, left 1, down 1, left 1, and so on. But just saying that we start at 3, count by threes is probably the simplest and easiest pattern rule for this example. So this is the same pattern that we talked about at the beginning of the lesson. This time the entire 100 chart is complete with the pattern. Pause the video and in your notebook write down what pattern rule you would use for this pattern. If you wrote down start at 2, count by twos, you are correct. You can also say that for each even number, you make a line that goes vertically down from that number. So from 2, from 4, from 6, from 8, from 10. But again, the easiest way to describe this pattern is to say start at 2, count by twos. In this lesson, we learned about patterns in number charts, specifically in a 100 chart. We learned how a 100 chart can help us to identify a pattern and then create a pattern rule. Remember that a pattern rule almost always tells us what number we start at and how the numbers change in that pattern. And then when we mark them on the 100 chart, we can visually see the patterns that are created when we apply the pattern rule to our chart. So please watch the video again if you need to and ask your teacher for help if you need it as well. Have fun with your patterns and your number charts.